do.
Welcome to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, Crypto and Chill. Hold on 1 second. We got something. There we go. Was getting an echo from Pump.fun or the arena. So yeah, this is the Crypto and Chill edition. This is what we do on Tuesday nights and Friday nights. Me and Jeff, where we just chill. Like right now, I'm eating some bison bites with some tater tots and some peppers and some hot honey barbecue. Crack some wine here in a minute, and we're just going to talk crypto and hang out and talk about life in general. So, do you want to introduce the socials, Jeff?
Yeah, we appreciate everyone for joining us here on this final show of the year. Here at DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, where me and Myke go live every Tuesday and Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Myke also goes live Monday for the Money Talks at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern with the DeFi Masterclass with David and Jake. David was gracious enough to join us last Tuesday. Yeah, for a lot of fun. So that was a good conversation. Or was it the week before? But yeah, we got a lot of great alpha here that we shared throughout the week between DeFi, crypto, and airdrops, and even interviews that are going to be dropping. And there's our brother channels, Jake Call, Blockchain Basement, Discover Crypto, and David's DeFi University. Jake Call has Metrics Finance, which is a DeFi portfolio tracker and simulator. Him and David are actually working together on incorporating more new features. And there is a free version before you get started on the paid. If you find it valuable, you can jump into the paid stuff, but start for free. Great resources. And David's DeFi University is now pretty much all free except for the daily live mentorship. So you get 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday. It's $97 a month for that feature. But everything else, the mastery courses, which we were going over.
You have no excuse to not know about DeFi. Between our little course that we have on our YouTube channel and what David offers, DeFi there is absolutely no reason why you should not know everything about DeFi and not have to pay for it. There's no reason for you to go anywhere and pay to learn about DeFi. You don't need to pay us any money. You don't need to invest anything. You don't need to join anything necessarily. You just go to DeFi University, link in the description of the channel and every episode, and just go through the courses. They're structured, there's tests, there's all of that.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff for free. The people will pay thousands of dollars for anywhere else. You know, it's incredible the stuff that these guys are dishing out and offering. And
there's actually one DeFi channel out there that David pretty much built their entire freaking course, and they're charging like $10,000 a year or more.
Yep. And also check out Myke's DeFi Wize newsletter that goes out Monday through Friday. They get up early to get all the alpha together for you, picking ranges and stuff, and just under $20 a month, and getting a lot of good testimonials. So you can also jump in our Discord. All the links are down below. Discord's free. We don't charge anything at all. People in there, once in a while, he'll share some snippets from the newsletter as a little tease. But yeah, we got a lot of great community members in there, not only sharing their positions and what they're finding, but they find a lot of alpha for us. So we appreciate everyone that's in there. So Twinklebell and Jay, and if you're on Twitter, jump in the chat on YouTube. I know it's hard to chat on Twitter, but we are at the _only_ DCA. You can catch Vet at Veteran4Crypto, me at the BCR142. We're streaming on Pump.Fun and The Arena. I heard Drew this morning on the basement shouting out the channel and stuff too.
Sorry about that. There you go.
Yeah,
Sorry
Drew
about
and
that.
them.
Drew was shouting us out because me and him are going to be doing that interview on January 20th is when we're recording it. And so yeah, it's basically his name is, and I might not pronounce this right, Shal Kafur. He is the COO and co-founder of Canton Network. And so me and Drew are going to be interviewing him.
Yeah, Shal Kafir.
That's him.
Yeah, and he was part of Zcash's development as well, which is pretty cool.
No, he has quite the interesting background. You know, he's a military vet, done quite a few things.
Damn, that's awesome. Yeah, that's gonna be a great show because definitely have some questions.
Dude,
about Canton. And they've been building 10 years, they said?
Yeah, there is so much confusion out there about Canton Network. I just this afternoon, I was actually even talking to Elio Trades. He started following me, and we were going back and forth in some private messaging, just talking about Canton Network. I know he's kind of a controversial personality. In crypto, you can't be in crypto and not be controversial in one way or another. Yeah. But and I've never really invested in any like super or any of those things that that he's done before. So maybe I'm not biased enough, but I know a lot of people make a lot of claims about rug pulls and whatnot. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
He did the black hole
token. Yeah, he did black hole, and I don't know.
They're launching a new one on Ethereum, a new platform that's like similar to black hole, but just for Ethereum. So, yeah,
you know what? I mean, I personally haven't seen anything. Not to say that it never happened. I personally haven't seen anything shady come from the guy. But
yeah, me neither.
But again, I don't know everything about crypto. I haven't invested in, anything in that genre except black hole. Mm-hmm. I made a bunch of money off black hole. When it launched, I was in that full range pool where, I earned far more than I invested into it. By the time I got out of it, I don't have any anymore, but by the time I got out of it, I had earned more money than I had invested. So, yeah, I mean, I'm okay.
Yeah, the full range pool is nice.
Oh, dude, there was a bunch of people in our community that were farming it forever, and it was earning a couple of 1,000% for a while, and then for a good while it was like 400-300% APR that it was earning, and I was just constantly changing that over into other tokens. I wasn't that bullish long term on Avalanche VE33 style dexes. Yeah. Everybody knows my favorite VE33 dex is Aerodrome, and that's where my attention is. So yeah, anyway, that's where I sit on that one.
Yep. A lot of stuff around the markets, man, and you can't just go with every new shining object.
No, and that was another conversation I was having with another gentleman this evening on X. I guess he had put like 90% of his net worth into Canton, and I was like, dude, don't get me wrong, I'm bullish on Canton, but that's a little bit much to have in any project. I mean, even Bitcoin, in my opinion. But but he was, sent me an article about Warren Buffett and how supposedly his mentor and him always preached that diversification, split attention. But if you actually read the article, what it really says is don't invest in so many different projects or so many different companies that you can't stay knowledgeable on all of your investments. So don't split your focus so much to where, you can't keep track of what's going on with them. And that I agree with. You don't want to be in like 20, 30, 40, 50 different projects that you have no idea what's going on with them. That's like giving your money to strangers on the street and being like, all right, I'll see you in a year. You better have more money than I gave you. It's like, it's pretty much what you're doing. So, yeah, I totally agree. Being like 5, maybe 10 different projects, whatever you have the bandwidth to stay up to speed on, or if you have resources like, good solid channels like ours, or, like our newsletter or, something like that, to where you have people that boil down the information for you so that it's easily digestible and you can have a glass of wine and eat your dinner and listen to it, then absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't spread your funds around like the Somali daycares.
A damn Somali daycare. So, well, let's kind of jump into this. So, let me go to here real quick. Share my screen.
Scrizzing.
Bing, bada, bing, bing, bing. All right. All right. So, just to kind of give an idea, just a general overview of kind of, what's going on right now in the world, is this gentleman actually had some interesting things to say, and I'm going to burn through this, so bear with me. U.S. Treasury has a massive problem nobody wants to talk about. Take a good look at this chart. The giant blue spike. Yeah, that's trillions of U.S. debt that expires in 2026. Not 2030, not 2040, 2026. And all of it has to be refinanced at much higher rates. This is why Trump and many people love him or hate him. That is why a lot of people are fighting to get lower interest rates. It's not just me and you that are buying cars and houses and things like that that care about interest rates. Interest rates apply to institutions, to businesses that are carrying debt, and a lot of that debt has to be refinanced on a regular basis, and they are about to be forced to refinance that debt at much higher rates, which I'll kind of show here what that means. It all has to be refinanced at much higher rates than the near zero environment it was originally issued in during COVID. In simple terms, the U.S. loaded up on cheap debt. That cheap debt now has to be rolled over at expensive rates. Interest costs are about to explode. Something has to give: markets, taxes, spending, or the dollar. This is the kind of structural time bomb that doesn't hit immediately, but when it does, it hits everything: stocks, bonds, housing, crypto. No market is immune when a sovereign debt wall this big comes due. Keep your eyes open, because most people will notice this after it's too late. I was one of the only people who called the top in October, yada, yada, yada. Okay, pat yourself on the back. Great. So I thought this was pretty funny. The young man that found the fraud in Minnesota. For my first trick, I'll get Democrats to publicly defend fraud. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's racist.
Yeah, racist. Or white supremacy. It's white supremacy is the reason why it happened. Walter, where did this money come from? I started a fake Somali daycare.
Oh my God.
Aerodrome. 750K in rewards for Coinbase wrapped ETH and Coinbase wrapped XRP. We're teaming up with Gauntlet to accelerate the adoption of Coinbase wrapped assets on Base. USDC rewards are live for the Coinbase wrapped ETH, concentrated liquidity, and Coinbase wrapped XRP wrapped ETH, concentrated liquidity, and another concentrated liquidity pool. So those of you that don't know, Aerodrome is one of the most bullish projects that I'm looking at, just with the way it currently sits, what's projected in Q2 of 2026, with the new platform, the merge of Velodrome and Aerodrome, the new token launch, the new tokenomics with that new token that is going to help it be much more deflationary. The adaptive reward structure to where the rewards that are paid out, it's, you know, I won't, that's way too nuanced. I won't go down that right now.
A lot of good shit that even I've been waiting for a while, man. With
absolutely. And we've gone over it in other episodes if you're interested. The ones that are labeled, you know, Aerodrome or Base Network. 2025 was the year regulated finance moved on chain and Canton scaled with it. Here's our year wrap. I'll just hit a couple of these. They were in Paris, HSBC, and BNP Paribas, if that's how you say it. You know, they came to the actually, you know what? I'll show this. So this is the ecosystem for Canton. This is everybody that's involved. So you have the validators, you know, the Canton Foundation around this outside ring. You know, you can see some of these logos and probably pick out, you know, who some of these are. But that's all the people that are on, or all the foundation, or all the institutions that are on the Canton Foundation. And then, of course, you have all the forensics and security, the interoperability, Chainlink, Layer Zero, Wormhole. You know, and these are all people that aren't just in negotiations or talking about, you know, being part of this project. These are institutions that are actually part of this project. This isn't rumors. That, you know, this is, you know, I have a buddy who's a banker that heard from another banker that, you know, knows a guy that, you know, was, you know, at a glory hole in a truck stop and heard, you know, this, you know, this is actual verifiable, you know, that these are the, you know, the institutions that are on the Canton network. So, yeah.
Because that's a good point, because there's a lot of projects that will put, you know, Chainlink or just like all these big flashy names and say, yeah, we're partners with them. It's like, well, you kind of integrated their systems and not necessarily a partner. But Canton, I mean, they're like deeply involved with all of these projects.
Oh no, absolutely. And then if you're interested, and I'm going to give you a couple of places to look. And I always highly encourage you to do your own research. Don't just take my word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it on social media. Always do your own research. You know, definitely, you know, take into account, you know, some of the stuff that you hear on social media. But I only trust things that give their references. So if they say, you know, give, you know, exact numbers, or say that this is happening or that is happening, or, you know, somebody told them, unless they actually cite that reference, I say bullshit. You know, give me a link to where you found that data. And that's what I, you know, try to do. And that's what I'm doing here, is if you want to go to canton.thetie.io, this is a bunch of on-chain data for Canton Network. Daily fees right now of $830,000. The on-chain conversion rate is just under 14 cents. You know, that's what the token's going for. Implied market cap. And then you have how many validator nodes there are, how many super validators, and the current coin supply. This, you know, shows that the reward split by role over time. So as you can see, this is part of the tokenomics. And my understanding, again, I'm just going off of my understanding so far. That's why I'm so excited about the interview we're going to do. But as you can see, is as time goes on, this is years down here. So it looks like it's been about 2 years since the launch. And here in January, there is what's called a double halving. So it's basically going to have the amount of tokens that are new tokens that are minted. And that is going to assist in the multiple levers that the Canton network uses to be potentially deflationary. So there is a burn mint mechanism. And as the network becomes gets more traffic, then less is minted and more is burned. So you can see, from this that over time, less is being minted. And then as there's more network traffic, they burn the CC token. Now, I'm still digging into the way that the Canton network token CC is used isn't necessarily in a traditional sense like a gas token. Fees aren't directly paid in CC, is my understanding. But the token does play an integral role in the ecosystem. So we'll get into that.
And that might be a beneficial thing, because if you pay it out in CC, you would kind of need that inflation to keep up, right? At least with some protocols, they pay out in their token, but the inflation rate kind of outpaces the deflation.
Well, they pay the validators in CC token, but the fees, my understanding, is actually paid in USD or USD. I'm guessing stable coins is the way that it's going to be paid.
And I think the way Ethereum has their burn mechanism, since they incorporated EIP 1559 or whatever that was a few years ago, is this going to be more efficient than that? Do you suspect?
I honestly, I think it will be, but time will tell. Okay. It's a new project. There's still a lot of question marks. I'll be the first to admit that. I mean, again, there's a lot of confusion about this project. I'm still learning, and I've been looking at it for weeks now.
Yeah, maybe we can ask. I'll keep that one for Shaul.
Yeah. No. Me and Drew are getting questions together. We've asked, on socials, we've asked people, if you have any questions about Canton Network, let us know, and we're going to hit Shaul with it. And he's seems like a really cool guy, and he's very excited to answer people's questions. Actually, him, the CEO, and a couple of other C-suite positions at Canton, I've been talking with on social media, and all of them are very, very transparent and very engaged with answering people's questions directly. Nice. It's not just like their head of marketing or something like that that's answering questions. It's the actual C-suite positions, CEO, COO, people like that are actively engaged with the community. So
awesome.
I've been pretty impressed because they really don't need to. This project, it's generating plenty of fees and revenue. It doesn't need token sales. So they don't need to pander or cater to retail at all.
No, they're passionate.
What's that?
They're passionate. That shows you the passion that they have for the project and what they're willing to do. I mean, kind of like Charles with, when he was early in Cardano, showing he was out there answering questions, doing the AMAs. He's kind of, gotten away from that a little bit.
It's actually kind of funny because he took a jab at Canton a couple of days ago, and I think it was the CEO fired back, and but very tactfully, and kind of took a jab at him, and Charles didn't respond back. I thought that was pretty funny, but yeah, again, this Canton network, the reason it was built is to be the network of networks. So what that means is banks and institutions have their own internal networks currently, where they have all of their internal like say it's a bank, they have everything that's visible to their what's the word I'm looking for? Basically everybody within the company. So, only people that are authorized to see, who owns what bank account and how much money they have in there and what investments they have and, all of that sort of stuff. It's only visible to those that are authorized to see it. Now, people that work at Wells Fargo can't see what is going on at, JP Morgan Chase.
Mm-hmm.
But with Canton Network, it connects those two siloed networks and only allows visibility to those that need to have visibility. So if somebody transfers money from Wells Fargo to JP Morgan Chase, then the individual that's doing the transfer, the individual or institution that's receiving the transfer, and the two banking institutions can see that. Regulators can see that, but no one else can see that. And it can change. Those permissions can change to where only the individuals that are necessary in the transaction can see it, which is very different than what we're used to in crypto. In crypto, everything is on chain, everything's transparent, and it's great because we can see what big institutions are doing a lot of times in crypto. And that allows us to make similar moves if you're paying attention. But that window is closing. If you haven't noticed, there's a huge narrative right now with privacy that's taking place. That's, it started when Zcash started taking off, is everyone started, moving liquidity over into Zcash because there's no visibility as a privacy layer where there's no visibility about who owns what. So the rumor was everybody was moving their year-end profits or towards the year-end profits into Zcash. And then they were going to move it out of there into other things and almost do like a tornado cash style, a shell game, So I don't know if that's what actually happened, but that's what's going on right now is there's a narrative of, there needing to be a privacy layer. I don't want people to know how much money I have and where I'm sending it, just like you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, kind of piggybacking off of that, the post that you commented on a few weeks ago, somebody was saying that they paid somebody for services in USDC, and that person looked at their wallet and could see how much their net worth is. And, that kind of puts a target on your back. If somebody knows you and they're like, oh shit, this person has $1 million of crypto in their wallet, I'm going to go extort them or something, you just, you don't want to be able to have that transparency. I mean, it's good when you don't know who these people are, you can just see wallet activity and shit. But when somebody that you're paying services for or something to, you don't want that. You want some sort of privacy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And check out this. You got the cumulative unique parties just going parabolic. You have daily active users, around September, it took off. You have daily transactions, friggin', almost, I mean, it took a pullback here but just basically just building and building. And then you have, let's see, where's my other one? Oh, here we go. Canton Scan. So here is another tool, Canton Scan. So it's just, cantonscan.com. This is another place that you can find a lot of really good analytics. So you can go to statistics up here on top. And this is what I was talking about with the burn mint activity. So you can see here the this is the daily mint activity. So, back in 2024, then you come into 2025 and we're about to go into 2026. But you can see that the new mints are starting to slowly drop with network usage. As more people are using the network, then less and less less tokens look like they're being minted, and because of those halvings and things like that. Now, you look at the burn rate. The burn rate also, it has been increasing. It's obviously going to fluctuate with transactions, things like that. But, over time, overall, it's, gradually increasing. You're getting higher highs, you're getting higher lows. And then you got the daily burn mint ratio. So, again, this is just all really good data that you can look at. That's actual data. It's facts. There's no emotion. This is just, it is what it is. You can look at this. You can draw your own conclusions. Just numbers speak for themselves. It's why I love data. It keeps me unemotional. It's why I rely, so heavily on fundamentals and data. But you can see here, CC supply over time. It was, building much faster at the beginning. It, started to peter off, but for the most part, it's just been growing. That's because the network wasn't necessarily being used. Now that it's gone live, now the network is getting used. Now the burns are going to start to increase, things like that. So, all right. This is one thing I ran across, and then I'll kick it over to you to share what you found. But this is what I was talking about when I was saying in January that there's going to be a double halving. So the most important upcoming event, and this is from Canton's blog on the Canton.network. The most important upcoming event in Canton's supply dynamics is coming up mid-January 2026, which represents a double reduction for super validators. First, total issuance per block will be cut in half. Second, that the super validator share of that issuance will fall from 48% to 20% as more rewards are directed toward validators and applications. 3 years later, a similar double halving occurs again. Total issuance halves once more, and the super validator share drops again from 20% to 10%. So again, this is reducing the amount of new tokens that are being put out, into circulation. This compounding effect means that once the network reaches burn mint equilibrium, and remember I was talking about, the burn mint, that as more network usage, that, more is being burned, and as some of these other things are occurring, less tokens are coming on, as those move together and find that equilibrium across validators and applications, the super validator pool becomes the dominant and rapidly shrinking source of new issuance. So as the Canton network is adopted and more institutions and banks and things like that are using it, the faster we get to this equilibrium and the quicker that the amount of tokens in circulation balance out. And if I'm understanding this correctly, potentially the supply can shrink if more is being burned than is being minted. Again, I'm still learning, so don't take anything I say as gospel. Again, here's all the current institutions that are using the Canton network. And one thing I did find real quick is this. Intellect EU joins Canton network as a validator. They actually are connected to Swift. So if you come up here, Swift CSP. So they actually are an institution or a business that helps. Let's actually go here. So I don't want to freaking slay this. Intellect EU empowers businesses worldwide with tools and enterprise required to navigate capital markets innovation and payment modernization. So basically, they're a gateway for businesses to connect to financial systems. So stablecoin payments, the kind of the new financial system that's being constructed. They help onboard existing businesses that aren't necessarily, in the crypto sphere. So, say that, I'm trying to think of something that's not techie that might want to do something like this. Let's say Chevy. Say Chevy wanted to start accepting stable coins when you go to buy a car. Potentially, this is the type of company that would onboard them and give them the tools and the rails, connectivity to the rails to be able to accept stable coins for payments. So I just thought that was interesting that I kind of found basically I'm always talking about that network, that kind of the new financial system that's being built out, that's connecting TradFi and DeFi and crypto, and that network of institutions that are connecting to each other that I'm always looking out for. Mm-hmm. So again, found a connection between Canton Network and Swift now. So, all right, I'm going to kick it over to you and let you take the reins for a bit. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
and
sip
that's
my wine.
an interesting thing because all these businesses and shit, they need a way for they need that regulation to be able to accept and use crypto in and of itself. Whether it's exchanging it with their banks or institutions or offering credits. You could do like these EV credits that the government does and subsidies and shit for new cars. They could offer in the future crypto subsidies or these EV credits that you get USDC back. So yeah, and having that financial regulation and guidance on what's acceptable, how do you process it, and all that shit on the business side. So that's really important.
Oh shit. We got MI over on the arena just bought one of our tickets. I appreciate you, brother.
Oh yeah.
But
Thank you. Yeah, we got some viewers over there on the arena.
dude, the arena's been treating us good. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, Drew was talking about it. We on the show that we did the other day, we had more viewers on the arena than we did on YouTube.
Damn.
So this is a good question. How can we participate in Canton, and is a reward on this like an airdrop? So no, that is one of the great things about this. It was a fair launch. So no tokens were used as far as payouts to VCs, venture capitalists. The team didn't keep any tokens. All tokens are out in circulation for people to buy. There is no airdrop. There is no gamification. They're not telling people you have to go do this or you have to go click on that or you have to share this to get an airdrop. There's none of that. And I love that because that is, for me, that is a professional, solid project because there's no need for all of that. They have institutions adopting. They, again, from what I can tell, they don't need retail. They're making plenty of money without including retail at all. So it was one of my big gripes, as bullish as I am on Plume. It was from the beginning. One of my biggest gripes when, Jeff was first telling me about it was the cartoon bird and all the gamification because it creates artificial traffic. It creates people doing all these tasks and spins and things like that to show on chain activity. And that's not real adoption. If the project is solid, it doesn't need that. And unfortunately, we've seen it with Plume. I'm still very bullish on Plume. It is one of the most solid RWA platforms that I've seen that has like an ecosystem of, multiple dexes and, different, platforms that are on it that specializes in compliance with, regulatory bodies for RWAs and DeFi. Still very bullish on it. However, they need to get rid of the cartoon birds. They need to get rid of the gamification. I think this freaking season 2 airdrop bullshit has been going on for almost a year now.
A long time.
It's just ridiculous. And so anyway, sorry, I got on my soapbox again. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, and that's great because like we've talked about before, the fair launch projects, they've done a lot better than traditional airdrop projects because, you get these people who are these VCs and especially KOLs that get paid to shill projects or just yap about it. And then they don't even really participate in the ecosystem. They're just talking to get a paycheck.
Nick Dunn found the arena. He asked me to drop the link for the arena.
We got double time.
yeah. He's on both now. He's double fisting it.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is nice. But yeah. So I was watching Army Piper earlier, and we can kind of dive into the token talk about this because I was a little confused. And I'll play the little clip that I saw, and it was a bit weird because I went back and actually looked at the website. And
do you mind if I preface this real quick?
Yeah.
Because this is why I'm so excited that we're doing the interview with Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of confusion about Canton Network, and because it's so different than so many projects out there, than almost every project I've looked at. I mean, there's a lot of projects out there, so I don't want to paint myself in a corner. But the tokenomics, the network itself, just the way that it's built, it's so unique. And out the gate, is already, I mean, shit. It has $400 billion of TVL already. And, it's, as far as RWAs, it's over 95% of the market share. I mean, that's how big Kent Network is, almost out the gate. So the clip that Jeff's about to show, we watched it right before we went live, and there's some inaccuracies. I'll just leave it at that, but I'll shut up. I promise this time. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So let me make sure.
The tokenization, how these companies are using Canton, tokenization of real world assets. So people are running to this on the RWA play. And something that I want to point out here, Canton Network has rapidly moved from pilot to production adoption among major financial institutions with tokenization of regulated securities, real world assets, automating post-trade workflows across institutions. And so I said, so how does the coin gain value from the transactions? And she said, this is the right question. The answer is subtle but important. Canton Network is not designed like a typical crypto network where transactions actively, directly pump a public token. And so I was like, well, why is the token pumping? And she replies back to me that Canton is not a crypto native speculation network. It is a financial market operating system using a blockchain that is not a publicly traded token. Keep that in mind. And so I said, is this token, and I dropped a picture of the Canton Network, this what you're seeing right here, and it says, this token, the crypto related to the enterprise? And she says, short answer, no, that token is not the Canton Network Enterprise Network. Long answer, this is where the confusion is. What you're looking at is the CC ticker for Canton Network. This name, it's a name collision, not an economic connection. The real enterprise network is Canton Network. Key facts about it: no public token, no gas coin, no retail speculation. So if you guys are looking at this thing and you're thinking this is a play, it's getting adoption, here we go, this is going to be the big mover, guys, not the case. This token is not even related to all of this news that you're seeing on Canton Network out there. So
And okay. I went back after that and immediately looked on the website, and right here in the FAQ, it says, what is Canton Coin? Canton Coin, CC, the network's native utility token, was designed to reward real network usage over speculation. And this is their token. So I don't know who, I'm going to reach out to him and kind of chat and see who he was talking to, because that was not accurate at all. And, there's more on the token right here with the tokenomics and the Canton coin and stuff. So, yeah.
So I can actually tell you exactly what CC pays for as far as utility. Mm-hmm. So I pulled it up, and it says CC pays for traffic and fees on the global synchronizer, which is a part of the network. Mm-hmm. It incentivizes stakeholders, so that's how they pay out the validators and things like that, and supports services like the Canton name service. So it is their token. It does have utility. It's not a gas token in the traditional sense. That is the confusion that's going on when it comes to the CC token. And again, why I'm so bullish about January 20th, and doing that pre-record is I'm gonna ask all of these questions because I want it to be straight from the horse's mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you're looking to get involved with Canton or invest in them, so it says right here, a guide to wallets, exchanges, and custody providers. So looks like Bybit, Gate, Kraken, KuCoin, and MEXC are different exchanges. I don't think they're not on Coinbase yet, right?
No. One of the places that where I bought mine was on Kraken.
Okay.
So the places that you can get it are Bybit, Gate.io, KuCoin, MEXC, Kraken. Some of these other ones I've never heard of.
Is there any
And some of them
decentralized?
that I already mentioned I would avoid. Kraken is probably the most reputable that I would trust.
Yeah.
I used to love KuCoin though, but they started KYC. So,
Yeah.
oh shit, Canton's almost up to 15 cents now.
Is there any decentralized exchanges available yet with Canton?
I've been keeping an eye out for that because obviously I want to try to build my bag without having to come out of pocket. But no, there are no dexes.
Yeah, that would be, and still no liquidity pools. Good LPs.
No, not that I've been able to find. Again, I'm keeping an eye out because I mean that's kind of my, my hallmark is I buy a couple grand of of a token and I turn that couple of grand into that 2 or 3 grand in 8 or 10 grand of the token. So
yeah,
that's kind of what I'm wanting to do with this, but I'm kind of starting to wonder if I'm ever going to get an opportunity.
Yeah, and going back to the fair launch model, was it Hyperliquid did that, and they just kept going up and up and up.
Mm-hmm.
And I used Hyperliquid before they launched, and I wasn't able to get register for the airdrop because they did the geo blocking where you couldn't use like a VPN and shit, and you couldn't be in America. So I couldn't find a VPN that worked to get around it. So I missed out on that, and it was and it's good because you don't have anyone or as many people manipulating the price when those tokens launch. And if you have people actually using the platform or protocol and not just trying to fucking farm it like a game, there was a couple others. I don't remember which, but all the fair launch projects have been great so far.
So real quick, in our Discord, link is in the description. The DCA Discord, I started a new channel for Canton Network. In there, we have an Aerodrome one and a Canton Network one, and I put a bunch of links in there for anybody that again, all these research tools that I'm showing here.
There you go.
Yep, right there. So basically, I dropped in there. There's actually it's quite a read. You might want to throw it into an AI or something and see if it can summarize it for you. But it goes through and it talks about Canton Network validator nodes. Like if you want to try to run a validator node and earn free Canton. I'm actually talking to my brother Taylor about possibly doing it. So
how much are they?
What's that?
What's it cost to be run? Yeah, what's it cost to be a validator?
Honestly, I haven't gotten that far yet. I'm gonna I started looking right before we went live, and so I'm gonna start pouring over it and see how much it costs, if it's kind of cost effective or if it's worthwhile.
Yeah, because run validator node. Let's see, get connected. Let's check this out. Yeah, because that would be. I mean, you got institutions using this. I mean, that's a pretty safe bet. You're not gonna. It's not just gonna crash and burn in a year like some of these L2s that are pretty much gone already, or have, well, I think recently they were showing ZK Sync generated like $18 in revenue one month.
Well, and I'm glad you bring that up, because that is a huge part of the evolution of blockchain technology. Going from a speculative environment to a utility driven environment. Before, it was all speculation and retail. And that's why you saw all the volatility. Is it was emotional ass retail buying and selling off of Twitter posts. And if Elon, posted a picture of a Shiba, a Shiba Inu, then, then Doge would pump, or Shiba Inu would pump. Yeah. Those days, I think, are over. We are moving into the next stage where actual utility is going to drive value. And in traditional business, value is determined by what the revenue that is generated, the profit or the money that is made, by the company, by, the project, whatever it is. That is what you need to be looking at. And this is something David always talks about is, how does value translate over to token holders? How is it that it benefits people to buy the token? Because are you buying it and just hoping price go up? Or are you buying it because there's token buybacks, because there's some sort of mechanism in the tokenomics that gives you yield, that pays you yield in some way? So this is the new way of thinking that you need to reprogram yourself if you've been in crypto for a while and you're used to just following narratives, or just, following whatever is, has the mind share on social media, because we're moving into a new environment to where that's not what is going to drive prices. And I think we saw it with this lackluster bull market that we were all waiting for and never arrived. It's because institutions are driving price now, not retail. So call it manipulation, call it smart money, call it whatever you want. But these institutions are not just going to throw money at the wall and see if it sticks. They are putting their liquidity, they're putting their money into solid projects that they have a fiduciary responsibility to their investors to churn a profit. There's laws and regulations that make it so. And that's why institutions for a long time didn't get into crypto. And with the passage of the Genius Act that for stablecoins that goes into effect in 2027 and other legislation, as that comes into play, you're going to see more and more adoption. That's why you're seeing this mad rush right now of these banks and institutions building on all these rails, like Canton Network, like Ethereum, like Base, just all these different projects, why they're coming out with these tokenized, RWAs for their traditional products like stocks, bonds, treasuries, real estate, all of those things, gold, silver, there's a reason for that. So anyway.
Yeah. I don't see anything so it says running validator node on Canton involves minimal upfront capital compared to traditional proof of stake blockchains, but ongoing operational costs depend on your setup. It doesn't really say a whole lot. Monthly cloud costs could range from 100 to 500 plus, depending on provider. Pricing is not publicly listed, but it's marketed as the fastest and easiest way, implying subscription or service fees tailored to institutional needs. So I guess there's not really a whole lot right now. And I saw that about Kita. See Kita crushing chain spec. I'm not sure what that is. That's what the multi-billions on the way.
Yeah, well, a KTA is Kita.
Yeah.
And and I have a good bag of Kita. I really haven't seen much I mean, it's kind of been crickets for a lot of projects lately. Kita was, had their stress test and, the 10 million transactions per second. And, they tried to demonstrate that. And, one of the original founders of Google, I think he invested like $20 million in Kita. I mean, there's a lot of really bullish stuff about Kita. I just, again, it's just, there's not a whole lot that I've heard, going on. I still have a bag of Kita and was using it to DeFi for quite a while. And built quite a respectable bag of it, but we'll see.
Yeah. So ChainSpect verified Kita stress test results with 11.1 million max TPS. But
we live streamed that here on the channel.
Now, as of late, Kita mainnet shows low real world activity, near zero transactions per second post launch, while highlighting its massive theoretical capacity. So it looks like they're, according to them, holding up that simulation. Yeah. Because a lot of times testnet, it doesn't always reflect real world mainnet launch. So I've seen that with other networks where they launch a mainnet and the fucking network just tanks. It just is congested, transaction gas costs spike. So, it's it's good in theory, but Kita, I mean, that might be one that just takes time. But you really want that, like Canton is having the institutional adoption like that and a fair launch, all these things and they've been building in stealth for nearly a decade. And
dude, I mean, I'm not an OG in crypto. I mean, I've been, in it for over 5 years now, but I had never heard of Canton Network.
No,
I did a post about this. I had never heard of Canton Network until I think it was like September that I first saw it pop up on, it was like September or October. I first saw it pop up on rwa.xyz. And I remember the exact moment because I'm daily, I go on there and all of a sudden, it used to be Ethereum at the top and it was dominating with like 1.8 billion. And all of a sudden there was Canton and Providence that were, in first and second place. And friggin' Canton had like 400 times what Ethereum had, because it was like 400 billion or it was 200 times because roughly Ethereum had 2 billion and Canton had 400 billion. And so I got hold of Drew and I was like, dude, have you heard of this project? Like, what's the deal with this? And he's like, I don't know. And so we started taking a look at it, and that's kind of why I reached out to him whenever Shaw got a hold of me and said he was willing to come on the show. And that's the reason I got a hold of Drew and was like, hey, Drew, do you want to have this on have it air on Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, and our channel, and help me with the interview? And he was like, absolutely. And so I talked to TJ and Drew, and they're on board. But I mean, it's just I feel it's really important to get information as close to the source as possible. I can speculate all day long. I can read through this stuff and give you my interpretation. Am I going to get it right 100% of the time? 100%. No, I'm not. It's none of us, influencers are going to get it right all the time. That's why I don't do price predictions. That's why I don't do any kind of predictions. Anybody that has talked to me at all and asked me what's your price prediction for Arrow? I can see how it might or could go to $5 or more. What it's going to go to, I have no clue. And I'm not going to pretend to know. Do I think it's going to be more than it is now? If I hold it, absolutely. But, it's just, I just try to present facts as I know them. I'm just documenting my journey in crypto and my journey in DeFi and trying to share my knowledge on these projects. So again, always do your own research. I give you my source materials. I don't hoard it and hide it. I give you all of the sources that I go to for the information I give you. You're more than free to go in there, dig through it yourself. And by all means, please, I have people all the time that are like, hey, you're wrong about this in the Discord or something. Hey, you're wrong about this. Or, hey, did you see this, Myke? And I'll look, oh shit, I didn't know that. There's things about Arrow that pop up. These projects evolve all the time. New stuff comes up about them, new functionality. At first you couldn't plus up your Arrow locks. Like say you lock 2,500 Arrow, and for some reason, it's like, only like 2,400 show up, and you think you're not going to qualify for the flight school bonus. You didn't used to be able to do it, but there was a time where all of a sudden you could actually increase the lock as long as the flight school flight hasn't left yet. Then you would be able to plus it up and still get the bonus. Stuff like that happens all the time. We can't keep up with everything. So please do your own research.
Yeah, and we're not paid by any of these projects. We don't have any incentives to, hype shit up and shill. I mean, that's just not in our nature anyways. And, we're not going to sacrifice our integrity, just to get a paycheck.
And I'll be honest, we'll never, I if it's up to me, which I mean, for the most part it is, and I know you feel the same way, Jeff, and that's why I say that, is there's plenty of ways for us to make money to where people can choose to just, help us and support the channel. The newsletter, tipping us on the arena, there's other ways.
Yep.
When it comes to what we talk about and what we say about a project, I feel is at the core of what the trust that you all put in us, that watch and that listen and believe what we say here. There is way too many channels out there that are going to tell you what you want to hear for views because they're monetized. We're not monetized on YouTube. It doesn't matter if we have 50 viewers or 10,000 viewers. We're not making money on YouTube. It doesn't matter how many viewers we have. I don't want to ever have to pander and cater for views. I want to make sure that we're putting good, solid information out, and we'll make money other ways. So know that whatever you hear here from us, that it is 100% what we believe and what we think based off the information that we have digested. It's not like Jeff was saying, it's not because Canton Network got a hold of us and said, hey, we'll give you, 1 million tokens if you talk nice about us. Or, I mean, and we get those. I get those emails every single day. I get emails of different, exchanges saying, hey, if, we have, these great incentives. If you, talk about us on the channel, then, we'll pay you. And no, because I don't want to talk about a project or talk about an exchange. You all go out there and use it, trusting us, and then you get rug pulled or something. I don't want that. I sleep well at night knowing that we do what we do. So.
Yeah. And we've seen too much of that in the past with people shilling and they don't disclose certain things. And then you're just like, yeah, it doesn't end well. Never ends well. I don't care how much money they're trying to offer. It's I sleep good at night knowing that we're doing it with integrity and honesty. Because it's hard to find that in this space.
So Patton McCrotch over, Drew's dad over on the arena was asking, all that aside, do you see a future for Linea as a utility-based token? honestly, the only thing I know about Linea is it has to do with secure messaging, and that it's working with Swift and Link to upgrade Swift. And if you don't know, Swift is they control 1/6 of the cross-border payments that happen, between banks and institutions and things like that in the traditional finance system. And their network is horribly outdated. So recently they announced that they are working with Chainlink for interoperability and Linea for the messaging aspect to upgrade their system. Other than that, brother, I don't know anything about Linea.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, they're built by consensus, which made MetaMask. And that itself is horribly outdated. I mean, dealing with MetaMask is a fucking pain.
Everybody knows that I'm big on the Coinbase wallet.
Yeah, shout out Black Ice.
Oh yeah, brother. Yeah, Black Ice is an OG. He's always in the chat. He's always in the Discord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't get the chats from Arena on this little sidebar right here.
No, I got it pulled up on one of my other screens. I'm chatting with everybody over there. I do wish that it would pop up. That would pop up in the friggin' StreamYard.
Joshua,
what are your thoughts on Say?
Say,
what do you know about Say? I honestly don't know a whole lot about it.
I've kind of dabbled in it. I mean, it came around the same time as Sue or Sui network.
Better try again. I heard shout out Black Guys. Hey, I've drank a little bit of wine. I might have slurred a little bit.
Ooh, yeah. Shout out the big black guys.
Don't judge me. What are you, a homophobe?
Oh man. Oh no. I speaking on that, I did see a meme. There's a bunch of memes going on around the new Stranger Things. Will Byers coming out as gay.
Oh, you sent me that. The AI.
There was one that it was saying like a real reaction. It being in the 80s, people are afraid of gays and getting AIDS and stuff, and they're like, "No, I'm out." They're all of them. They're like, "No, fuck this.
Well,
this
dude,
isn't the time."
It's like I just got done watching it for like 15 minutes. He has this like coming out intervention with everybody. They're like trying to save they're about to go save the world. Time is of the essence. And, they're spending like 15, 20 minutes of him coming out of the closet. It's like, really? This is what's important right now. Can't you just be like, hey, if we live through this, I got something to tell you.
Yeah.
So Joseph, if I had a ban button, Joseph would definitely get a timeout for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Only XRP can save us.
Yeah, and Pat McCrotch earlier, a little while ago, he said, "So you won't tell me to place a 27x long on XRP?"
You know what? Trading XRP, people make a lot of money doing it. I mean, there's some good volatility in it. If you're just trading it, it's great. If some bullish news comes out and you catch it before the pump, and you can get like a 10x on it, or get a trade in on it, and, good or bad news, and long or short it. You can make a lot of money. There's always somebody trying to put out some kind of news or FUD or whatever on it. It gets a lot of social media attention. But as far as a long-term hold, I just, if anybody that's watched the channel, I mean, it used to be my largest holding. I had 40,000 XRP. I had all the ISO tokens. I had XLM, HBAR, XRP, the usual suspects. And, once we got that initial pump, what was it, the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, I sold them all. And that's when I got into Aerodrome and got into DeFi and we started this channel and, all of that. But when they launched RLUSD, it just, for me, I saw RL and it's actually come to pass. I saw stable coins, not just RLUSD, but stable coins being the vehicle to move value. And, not volatile assets, because it doesn't matter how fast the transaction is. If there is a fluctuation at all that registers during that transaction, there is the same amount of value that's sent isn't the same amount of value that's going to show up. And when you're sending billions of dollars, like if you send $1 billion and there's slippage of 1%, or there's a value change of 1% in that transaction, that's $10 million that's not going to show up on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
If it's to the negative, if it goes down 1%, the other end of that transaction isn't going to be like, oh, well, that's the cost of doing business. They're going to say, where's that 10 million that you're short?
Yeah.
And it just went poof. It just went away. So stable coins, and we saw it with US regulation. They even understood it. They have, Brian Armstrong, the Coinbase, CEO. They have Plume Network. They have a bunch of major, Charles Hodgkinson. I think that's how you say his name. You have a bunch of the big players in crypto that are sitting at the table, and you have the crypto czar, which is that guy from the All In podcast. They're all the ones sitting at the table that understand crypto, that is helping with this legislation. And what was the first thing? What was the first legislation that they drafted and passed and Trump signed into law? The Stablecoin Act. It's because stablecoins is the core of crypto, especially when it comes to the financial markets. And as we've seen, RWAs and DeFi and modernizing the TradFi system is the main focus right now. Nobody's talking about gaming. Nobody's talking about cartoon monkeys. Nobody's talking about the metaverse. Nobody's talking about AI. Was a blip on the radar for a minute. That's a solid, use case. But DeFi and RWAs is the 25-meter target, in my opinion. And anybody with money sees it. And that's where all the attention is, with smart money, banks, institutions, governments, legislators, all the people. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents on it. And even Ripple, most of the RLUSD is on the Ethereum mainnet. Ripple, they've lifted and shifted from cross-border payments to where they've been buying up a bunch of companies because they're trying to become a bank. So they're trying to become what they were supposedly going to service. They were supposed to be the rails for banks to do cross-border remittances and cross-border payments. And now they're becoming a bank. So which is it? Are you servicing banks or are you a bank? I just saw something today where there's a connection where Ripple is going to use Canton Network.
Interesting. They're transitioning. Hey, is that because they're based out of San Francisco?
You know what? It might be. It might be. Are they pre or post op?
No. It's funny you bring up the All In podcast, because I don't know if you guys saw the All In Christmas special roast. They had the roast master Tony Hinchcliffe on there, and he makes this comment to, it's David Sachs, right? And this was pretty funny.
Oh, and to Sachs, the crypto czar, Michael Saylor asked me to say hello. And if you can do anything at all, that would be great. I don't really know what he's talking about.
Referring to pump the shit out of this market.
Right? Well, shit. I fucking lost track of time. You got to go. We're a little bit over. I can keep going if you want.
I got to feed the kitties.
All right.
That's all I got. But real quick, like I do want to just take some time to, or take a minute to kind of do like a year, this past year reflection. I know that expectations didn't quite get met for many of us, the majority. But you know, looking back, I mean, me and Myke barely started the channel, and we were just doing all kind of flying by the seat of our pants, and then, you know, getting more structure. Myke started incorporating these shows, Money Talks, the DeFi masterclass on Wednesdays, and you know, we've kind of shifted the days that we stream and time slots and stuff. But you know, this has been really awesome to see the growth and taking over, you know, this channel, and even having it be consistent with our metrics and viewers and stuff while the markets have been really bad. I mean, the sentiment is in the toilet, and we still got people showing up, you know, solid growth. And, you know, I just appreciate everyone out there. The Discord's fucking blowing up. It's been awesome to see. And I just want to thank everyone out there for tuning in and, you know, jumping in the chats and sharing. You know, it's been great. A lot of great interactions. And just, yeah, seeing the growth that we've had this year, and it's seeing the changes in the channel, and yeah, the partnerships like with David and Jake, having their knowledge and expertise every Wednesday. I mean, I've learned a ton of shit from them, so it's been really awesome.
No, that's kind of, you know, if I was to, you know, give my closing thoughts on the year, I mean, I think that's very well said, dude. It's you know, I've been very grateful to, you know, always taking the time to, you know, be on the show, you know, twice a week. Taylor, you know, my brother, the you know, a state lawyer down in Texas, you know, owns a title company. Guy, I mean, does him and his family do jujitsu competitions, and I mean, just guy's busier than shit. But every Monday he takes the time, has absolutely no upside, you know, monetarily. He takes an hour out of his Monday, you know, where he's not making money, you know, running his business. I mean, he's making money, but you know, he's not taking clients, and you know, so he's losing money by doing the show. But he takes the time to do it. Jeff, his business partner, you know, the licensed financial advisor, you know, he takes the time every Monday to come on the show. Jake and David, you know, they have absolutely no, you know, they're not getting paid. You know, none of us are getting paid for this, but everybody believes we really have built a really good community, both people that watch and people on the show that just love what we do, you know, that just love, you know, crypto, love DeFi, you know, love, you know, just teaching people and, you know, trying to uplift other people. And it's not for money, because again, none of us are getting paid. There's no monetary upside to any of this. I think I make like $200 a month off of the newsletter, you know, so far, because, you know, there's a couple of people that were cool enough to sign up for it. You know, great info in there, but you know, we just launched it about a month or two ago. But you know, I mean, we make about as much money as it costs us to do this channel. So that isn't a play to try to get you guys to sign up for anything or anything like that. That is just, I want to be transparent with you all that we really are here for love of the game. You know, we love all of you out there, you know, and the support that you give us and the stories that you share with us in the Discord of your successes. You know, that's what gets me up at 4 in the fucking morning every morning to do the newsletter and to start my research and start putting, you know, the show together and, you know, doing the graphics for the thumbnails for YouTube and getting my notes together and, you know, just all the different things it takes to do each one of these shows. This is my full-time job. I'm retired. I spend, you know, 10 to 12 hours a day staying knowledgeable on this stuff to do these shows. You know, it's, you know, Jeff has a full-time job. You know, he doesn't have time to do it. So there's a lot that goes into this. I have a lot of respect for influencers out there, even if I think the information they put out is shit. It's like, you know, they probably have a full-time job and kids and families and other responsibilities. And, you know, they're trying to do their best. So don't be so hard on some of these people with the information. They're just doing their best, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you're too lazy to do your own research and to quantify or to verify what they're saying, that's on you. Stop looking to get spoon-fed. It, by all means, love that everybody watches. And by all means, you know, that's why I'm always showing you where I get my information. Teach a man to fish. I don't want to just give you a fish. I want to teach you to fish so that you can do your own research on these projects or any projects that you find interesting. That's what this channel is about. So that's all I got. I'll get off my soapbox and get back to drinking.
Yes, yes. No, that perfectly said, man. And hope everyone out there, yeah, Nick Dunn, Black Ice, Deadwood, Better Try Again, all the homies, Joseph, Cupidor. Who else we got?
Pat McCrotch.
Pat McCrotch.
Pat McCrotch is over on the arena. We got Joshua.
Josh.
He's been tipping people over in the arena for joining over there. Big shout out to you, brother. I would rather you tip you know, each other than you tip us, but we'll take the tips though. But just for a minute, just to see how it feels.
A little bit. And you know, we hope all of you have a wonderful new year. You know, be safe. Get a designated driver if needed. You know, it's not worth risking your life just for you know, I've done stupid things too many times and been lucky enough to survive, so it's not worth it.
You know what? If any of you are out there that you know, just feel like staying home and, you know, you're not going to go out and, you know, do anything on New Year's, I might jump on and do like a New Year's show. You know, just, you know, do a special crypto and chill episode for New Year's and just have a couple of drinks, because I'm not going to go anywhere. I mean, I live in the middle of fucking nowhere. I don't want to drive with all the suicidal deer. Jeff knows, he was just up here.
Yep.
It's like, I don't want to drive anywhere. So, yeah, I'll just sit here and have some drinks and we can just freaking bullshit. Maybe I'll see if anybody in the community wants to come on and, you know, has a camera and a microphone.
Oh shit, that'd be dope. That'd be a lot of fun.
But, well, you better go feed the kitties, man.
Yep.
All right. Well, we appreciate all you out there. Till next time, Veteran Crypto out.
Peace. Happy New Year.